Have you ever tried adding hot glue into your painting process? If not, you're in for a treat. Today, we're making a fun textured butterfly using just hot glue and some basic paints. All right, the first step is I'll be transferring over this butterfly design right onto my canvas. And I'm gonna be using my most favorite transferring method, which is cheap and is totally accessible, which is just using a printed out butterfly design. And I'm gonna be coloring on the back side of it with a normal pencil. And then I'm flipping it back around and I'll be placing it on top of my canvas wherever I want it placed. And then I'm gonna tape it down so it doesn't move on me. And then I'll be grabbing a pencil and basically just tracing over the entire design. And what that's going to do, it's going to transfer over that colored portion on the back. It's gonna transfer that onto our canvas, and you're gonna be left with the most perfect butterfly to start our painting with. All right, now we're gonna move on to some fun hot gluing into our art. So the key here is to have your hot glue gun like super hot. You want the glue to flow out of it very liquid so it's much easier to control. And then you're gonna start outlining the butterfly. Now I also found that outlining the bigger shapes first works easier rather than starting with the smaller details then moving your way back up to the bigger ones, just because it takes a little warming up to get the hang of how to get that glue to flow out of your glue gun. So starting with the bigger shapes is always a good idea. Another thing to keep in mind is that you might get these tiny strings that kind of stretch out from your glue gun that go down to the canvas, and that is okay. You can wait for your glue to dry and then you can just kind of pick them off. All right, now we're gonna paint in the background of our butterfly. So to do that, I just have some standard acrylic paints that I'm working with, but you can also use those craft paints that you get from the dollar store. Those would work beautifully here as well. So here I'm creating a light teal color by mixing a little bit of white into the turquoise. And then I'm gonna be watering it down with some water because I wanna give it that really light and glazy background feel. So I've added quite a bit of water just to thin it down. And I'm applying it all over the background. Okay, once our background is dry to the touch, now we're gonna be filling in our butterfly. So here I grabbed a bunch of blues. Again, it's acrylic craft paint. And I'm going to be thinning it down with some water so it's nice and fluid, kind of like watercolor. And then I'm just gonna be adding that paint into the inside sections of my butterfly. Now there's no rhyme or reason where I'm adding each type of blue. I'm just kind of going with that flow and I'm kind of picking the blues that I want to work with. So the reason I like to water down my acrylic paint is because once it's dried, it gives this really cool alcohol ink type of texture effect, and I really enjoy it. It's kind of dark in certain places and light and translucent in others. All right, now we're gonna bring our butterfly to life and give it that extra zing with some amazing metallic gold paint. So what I'm doing here is I'm applying that gold paint over top of all of that glue gun portion we did in the first step. And at first I used a brush to paint it on, and then I found it kind of challenging to control that gold paint, and some of it kind of bled onto the background. So then I switched over to the most awesome painting tool that's ever existed, my finger. And I found that when using my finger, it was so much more easier to control where that gold paint went. And on top of it, it was so much fun. Another observation I wanted to mention is that I found that the paint kind of went on translucent when I was layering it over top of that glue. So what I did was I waited for it to dry and then I added another layer on top, and then that gold really popped. Now, if you're vibing this butterfly craft, then you're going to love this monarch butterfly painting tutorial. I'll show you an easy trick to hand draw a perfect butterfly. And until next time, sending you lots of peace, love, and color your way.